Okay, I told you I was going to explain to you how the airplane lands in bad weather. But first, we got to understand the approach plate and how to brief the approach. And this is going to kind of explain how the plane lands in bad weather. Now, this is the ILS Localizer 17 into West Memphis. So what would happen in the airplane, if you're by yourself, you're going to review this by yourself. If you have two pilots, which, like I've said 9,999 times, two pilots are better than one. One pilot flies the plane, the other pilot briefs the approach. So, the pilot briefing the approach, he's going to pull up his approach, the other pilot's going to pull up his approach, and the one briefing it is going to say, this is the ILS Localizer 17 into West Memphis, dated December 25th, 2025, to January 22nd, 2026. Do you concur? And the other pilot's going to say, I concur. Because the other pilot is going to check his plate, make sure they're on the right approach, and make sure the date is correct. Because if one pilot has an outdated plate, it's not going to be pretty when they get ready to land because some of the information is going to be different. So the pilot briefing the approach, he's going to say, this is the briefing strip right here. He's going to say, this is the ILS Localizer 17 into West Memphis. The inbound frequency is 110.7. The course is 180 degrees. The runway is 6,000 foot long. Touchdown zone is 213 feet. If we have to go missed, we're going to do a climbing. We're going to climb to 1,000. Then we're going to turn right to 2,000. And we're going to go direct to Gilmore and pick up the 147 degree radial. And when we get there, we're going to hold. That's the way you brief the approach. Now, this is the plan view. This is the profile view. This is the minimums. This is the airport. So think of this view here as looking down from 5,000 foot. So what you're basically doing is, if you're flying this cold turkey in the clouds, not talking to anybody, it's not really the best way to do it. You're going to call Memphis approach in 119.1. When you get 20 miles out, well, 20 miles out, probably 5 miles out, the center is going to switch you over to approach. And the approach is going to turn you and vector you in. He's going to bring you out here like this, and he's going to say, citation 12345. Turn right 090. He's going to bring you in here. So you're basically heading east. Then he's going to say, citation 1234, turn right 200, intercept 180 degree radial. You're cleared for the ILS approach, West Memphis. You're going to say right 200, clear at ILS 17 approach, West Memphis. So he's bringing you in like this, and he's turning you in. So your receiver in your airplane is going to pick up this 180 degree radial. Your receiver is going to look like this. As the radio comes in, it's going to come in like this. When you see it moving, you say, localizer alive. So the localizer is going to come in. When it gets right here, this means you're level with the runway. So also, you're going to come down, and I should have said descend and maintain 2,000. You're going to descend down to 2,000. Now, if there's a line under 2,000, you cannot go below 2,000. You can be at 2,100, you can be at 2,200, but you're going to have to fix that. So you want to be as close to 2,000 as you can. If there was a line above 2,000 and below 2,000, that's a hard altitude. You have to be at 2,000. So he's going to vector you in. You're going to pick up this localizer. Then you're going to descend down to 2,000. You're going to be able to look on your GPS and see you're at Palin intersection, which is 12.7 miles from the runway. When you get to Dan's, that's the final approach fix. When you get here, if you're on autopilot, the airplane's going to do all of this for you. If you're hand flying it, you have to do this by hand. And it can be done. You're going to have to do it by hand on your instrument check ride. So if the autopilot's on, it's going to fly you to Dan's. When you get to Dan's, it's going to start descending you. If you can pick up Kehoe intersection, which is 2.7 miles, you'll be at 680 feet, and you can see that on your GPS. Now, this is your missed approach point. When you get to this point here, if you see any, this is going to put you 200 foot above the ground. If you see any of the runway environment, you can legally come down another 100 foot. If you can see nothing, you have to go missed approach. So at this point, you're going to go missed approach. And then you would fly the missed approach procedure, go back and hold, go to another airport or try to do it again if the weather got better. So this is the view from the top. This is the profile view. So that's how the plane comes in. It just follows the route. If your autopilot is certified to fly this, you can hit approach mode and the autopilot's going to fly everything. Now, you're going to have to bring your power back to get your speed slow. Now, when we talk about speed, we got to look down here. If you're in a small general aviation aircraft, it's going to basically be A. So, this is telling you when you get to this point here, you're going to be 200 foot above the ground, but your altimeter is going to say 413 foot. This 1/2 means you have to have at least a half a mile visibility to legally shoot this approach. So how do you know that? Well, you're going to listen to ATIS, and ATIS is going to say, visibility is 1 mile. So if it's more than a half a mile, you can shoot the approach. If it's a half a mile, you can shoot the approach. If it's a quarter mile or 1,600, it's just not enough forward visibility to shoot the approach. So that's what that is telling you. This is for bigger aircraft. So at the ILS, you need a half a mile visibility. That's going to put you 200 foot above the ground when you get to this point right here. So when you get to that point, if you see nothing, you have to go missed approach. If you can see the runway lights, and when I say the runway lights, this has got, see that rabbit right there? That's called the rabbit. It's going whoosh, whoosh. It's really bright. If you watch some of my videos, you can see it. And at night or in low visibility, low clouds, it is really bright. And sometimes you can pick it up through the clouds, maybe when you're 1,000 foot. And when you get closer, you can really pick it up. So if you get to this point right here and you can see that rabbit, by law, you can descend down another 100 foot. If you can see the ground, the airport environment, or the runway landing system, you can come down another 100 foot. Now, if you get down another 100 foot and you still can't see the runway, when you're at 1.3, well, then you got to go missed approach. You're either going to have to go to Memphis and land, or go to Little Rock and land, or go somewhere where the weather's better to land. So that's how the airplane lands. He looks up this approach. You can put it, and let's just do it. Let's see here. That's not what we want. Let's get rid of this. If we go in here and we put in flight plan, and let's just say LIT to Alpha Whiskey Mike. Well, I got to put KLIT. The reason I have to put KLIT is because there's a VOR there and the airport's there. So the VOR is LIT and the airport's LIT. So we're going to put KLIT, and then we're going to put Alpha Whiskey. That's not Whiskey Glenn. Glenn doesn't drink whiskey. Glenn doesn't drink. Alpha Whiskey Mike. And then it's going to show us the route right there. Well, something I did wrong. And then if we go to, there's the route. Now, if we go to procedures into West Memphis, it's going to say approach. We're going to pick the ILS 17, and there it is. Now, that's going to show up on our screen. And remember, I showed you the little blue thing before, and we want vectors to final, we'll say. Vectors to final, add to route. So now it's on our route. And if we have this in our GPS and we hit the autopilot and nav on the autopilot, it's going to fly us all the way to it. Now, where we have it now, that's really close in. So I put vectors to final. If I put vectors to final, well, then the controller's going to tell us. But if it would be really better to go to a fix out here. But that's the way that works. And if I have a good autopilot, even in a little small 172, it'll fly it. Now, it'll fly it down to 200, but I think legally, I'd have to look at the book in the 172. It'll fly you down to like 600 foot. So whether you're in a 172 with an autopilot or a nice jet with autopilot, it'll fly the whole approach for you. Can you hand fly it? Yes. But you're going to have to really be proficient to do this. But that's the way the plane lands in bad weather, by the approach. Now, that's the ILS approach. Tomorrow, we'll look at a GPS approach, which is better. The ILS approach is kind of old school. It's kind of getting phased out. The GPS approach is much better. It's much more accurate, and we'll go over that tomorrow. That's how the plane lands in bad weather.